So it's true what they say. Private eyes and dames don't mix. It's like eating a black pudding. Yeah, it'll clean you out, but it'll leave you hollow inside. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, here to go on with the 5th level extracts for the 1st edition Pathfinder Investigator. We have actually a couple of really interesting extracts here, but at this level, there seems to be a lot more that are just kind of okay to bad. Not that you don't have good options, you have plenty of good to great options, and we're going to go over some of the great ones here today. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on that incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. Now we'll actually start talking about your level 5 extracts, and first we have delayed consumption. Target self and consume a second extract of 4th level or lower, and for 1 day per caster level you can immediately activate the second extract retained under this effect. And this gets paired up with all different kinds of things, but probably the easiest one to reference is protection from energy, so fire, ice, lightning, stuff like that. The tricky part with that is knowing exactly what elemental type you need to have defenses up for before you cast it. Now, given your knowledge checks and your inspiration die ability, and with what we're going for with this build, your odds of failing the requisite knowledge checks to thoroughly research the kinds of creatures you might be going up against are pretty low. Pretty low odds that happens, but if it does happen, or if for some reason you're missing a critical piece of information, whether it's a curveball the DM threw in to keep it interesting, or if it's literally just something that was planned out and you just didn't find the necessary clues to tip you off on what to research, well, now you can have this in place using delayed consumption to retain an energy resistance spell and be able to select immediately just before you take damage, probably, but if your DM says that's not going to work, well, at least now you know throughout the rest of the fight. But delayed consumption, I would argue, works perfectly for that, and throwing up those defenses at the last second, absolutely something that's possible with this. But there's so many other combinations that you could pair delayed consumption with from 4th level or lower that will work just fine. The shield spell comes to mind as an example. Never quite know when exactly combat's going to kick off, and this way you can have a little bit of extra AC in place and make sure that you stay a little bit safer. Then we have Dust Form. Target self, and for 1 round per level, you and your gear become dust, effectively turning incorporeal. You can fit through spaces as if you were 3 sizes smaller. Your regular attacks deal 50% damage, but magic and magic items function normally for you. So all your equipment still functions. It's just the level of physical damage that you're able to do is going to be reduced, which, you know, that's not going to be too terrible, especially since this is going to be great for infiltration, escape, or more of a defensive capacity where maybe you're not really as worried about dealing damage as maybe you are getting away, or being stealthy and sneaky, whatever the case may be. Either way, this is a pretty handy spell to have, even with the short round-to-round duration time. Then we have Defensive Grace. Target self, and for 1 round per caster level, you can roll an inspiration die without consuming any inspiration points, and gain the result as a dodge bonus to AC, and most dodge bonuses typically stack, and it'll work for that round. You're also immune to precision damage, which is sneak attack damage, precise strike, studied combat, and studied strike as the first and foremost examples. If a critical hit is confirmed against you, you can dismiss this spell as an immediate action and reduce the crit to a regular hit. Now again, that round-to-round duration is not incredibly great, but at least it'll grow with you and you can maintain this for longer and longer. This makes this perfect for those high-stakes fights, typically against the campaign campaign's big bad evil guy or gal or person of non-discriminate gender and identity, whatever the case may be with eldritch beings and the like. Um, this will make sure that you are able to maintain an incredible level of defense, and given the different investigator talents that we've selected so far, you're going to have some pretty good odds of adding in a solid bonus off of your inspiration dice, especially if you're rolling d8s and you're getting to roll 2 at a time and take the better result. I mean, you're looking, let's see, a d8, you're looking at an average of 4 to 5, so rolling 2 of those dice, you're sitting closer to like 5, 6, 6, 7, somewhere around in there. So a +6 bonus to your AC each and every round on average. That's not going to be looking too bad at all for you. Also reducing the effects of precision damage, which that kind of exploding spike of damage from vigilantes, rogues, ninja, and the like, that's going to be certainly a significant threat to you given your lower levels of hit points. So taking that all immediately out of the game is going to be great for you to have for several rounds. Then we have Greater Claim Identity, and this one's value is going to fluctuate a bit. Touch target creature, and on a failed Fortitude save, spell resistance does apply as well, the target transforms into a porcelain mask. Any creature wearing this mask flawlessly becomes the target. Appearance, voice, all of it is perfectly in place, netting a +10 untyped bonus on disguise checks to impersonate the target. The target that's turned into the mask can still take purely mental actions, casting some spells, like if you were to do this to a wizard with both the still and silent spell feat, I would say they'd probably be able to throw out a spell or two and cause some problems, or be affected by mind-affecting spells. So the mask, the entity trapped within it, can be affected by mind-affecting spells. The spell prevents any polymorph effects from restoring the target's true face, and it lasts for 1 hour per level. Not only can you now hide the target that you're impersonating, but now you can flawlessly impersonate them and get a huge bonus to disguise on top of all the other extracts effects that you have, all the different knowledge checks that you have to research and prep before time to get ready for this. I mean, you can infiltrate and cause so much damage. You could derail campaigns with this. But it's dependent on campaigns that also have more emphasis on social encounters, political dynamics, lots of other skill checks that aren't necessarily related to combat. And there's plenty of games that do that, but not every game does that. So depending on the game you're playing, the value and utility of this spell can fluctuate a bit. But with some clever thinking, some good role play, and putting that ingenuity to work with just a little bit of luck, possibly modified by some inspiration dice, who knows, you can really finesse a lot of utility out of this particular spell. Now, as an example of a spell to avoid that is uniquely bad for investigators, we have Ancestral Memory. Target self, and for 1 round per level, you gain a +5 insight bonus on all intelligence-based skill checks. You also roll a d100 with a 70% plus your caster level as the percent chance of also gaining an ancestor's memories of a time they had to overcome the same or similar problem. So you're probably odds on to succeeding at that. A +5 insight bonus to all of your intelligence-based skill checks. We're a high intelligence character. Insight bonuses are pretty welcome. They're not the rarest bonus type ever, but your odds are this is probably going to stack pretty comfortably, or at least replace any lesser insight bonuses you have. So what's the issue with this? Well, you're already an intelligence-based character with all the knowledge skills and all the associated bonuses that go into putting ranks into those skills, and your inspiration dice and everything. You are going to have some significant bonuses to your intelligence-based skills and other ways of achieving higher numbers afterwards. This spell just doesn't do enough for you, especially not at a 5th level extract spell slot. That just kind of hurts all the way around there. It's not good. What it does, you're already good at anyways. You don't really need to use this. The only exception for this is if this really fits in with what you want to go for. It sounds like fun to you. It fits the overall theming and personality of your investigator. Then, okay, this will work out just fine. But by no means are these the only spells to avoid, nor have we covered every single last good spell. Monstrous Physique comes to mind as a pretty solid one to pick up, especially since we're leaning a little bit into our strength score. For this particular build, but then you also have other utility spells like Sending that allow instant and relatively quiet communications to you and your other party members. So there's plenty of good options out there. And there's also, what was it? The Jar spell. I'm blanking on it because I really don't enjoy it all that much, but I did a whole video on that. You'd think I'd remember at this point, but I'm going to get off track yet again. So what do you think? Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Are there any other spells you might recommend to your fellow prospective investigators out there? Let us know in the comments down below. Hit those like or dislike buttons. And remember, if you've made it this far, you must have enjoyed something. So why not go down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time. Good gaming to you all, and you all have yourselves a good night.